Welcome to the Vol Bros. My name is Evan. This is my brother Omaha Tony, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And man, oh man, what a time to be a Vols fan! What a time to be on a Tennessee related podcast. This is a beautiful, beautiful era of Tennessee athletics that we're in right now. Jordan Moore from Fan Run Radio in Knoxville tweeted uh, this morning. Over the last 9-month span, Vol Nation has witnessed the best men's basketball team in program history with a generational player in Dalton Connect, and the best baseball team in program history with a generational player in Christian Moore. That is pretty incredible when you stop and think about it, that in this 1 year, we've seen the two best teams in two major sports programs history right here on Rocky Top. Rustin, let's kind of recap what's happened up until now, and then let's look ahead to the weekend. Tell me your thoughts about Tennessee's first 3 games in Omaha.
Well, apart from game one, having to find creative ways to fight back into that, and it was an impressive win. The way they went back and got it, 4 base hits with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, just incredible. But then to come back the next 2 days or the next 2 games and really just shut North Carolina and Florida State down. I mean, neither of those games, they felt close at times, but they never felt like we were going to lose either one of them. Like it just felt like they were just kind of making sure they won, finishing the game, taking care of the ball. One thing I did want to point out, and this is just amazing, in the 3 games in Omaha so far, Christian Moore and Blake Burke are 15 for 28 with 11 runs scored and 7 RBIs. 15 for 28 with 11 runs scored and 7 RBIs in 3 games from the 1 and 2 hole hitters. Like, that is incredible production.
Yeah, not only does that mean that the bottom of the lineup is getting on base because they're driving them in, well, and they also drive themselves in. Not only that, but that also means that when they get on base, the people right behind them are driving them in. So that not bad from the 1 and 2 hole hitters on your team. Let's see, Elijah. Welcome, Elijah. Good to have you, buddy. He said the Vols are natty bound. Absolutely, yes, they are. Mina Lackey, good to have you. She said, "Good Vol Bros evening all." Let's see. Mina, like you said, natty bound. Absolutely. Monica, welcome, Monica. Good to have you. We appreciate that. She said, been waiting all week for the live show. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Rebecca said, hey, Rebecca, good to have you. She said, I smell a natty. Let's go get it. 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. Elijah said, this is just the start for Tony V. I mean, 3 out of 4 years in Omaha. It should have been all 4, honestly. I mean, pretty stout. Eric said, and Elijah said, and then this upcoming fall, we'll get to see a generational player in Nico. That's a fair point. Yep. Eric said, what's up, Evan and Rustin? Our baseball is going to the College World Series National Championship. Confident Tennessee beats Texas A&M to win the World College World Series. So we'll give our predictions here in a little bit too. He said, go Big Orange. Tony, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, let's go. Absolutely. Irv said, welcome, Irv. Good to have you. He said, what experts say home run dependent team has absolutely put on a hitting clinic. More 2 triples. Absolutely. That's one thing I will say when we talk about that bottom of the ninth comeback. It started with Kavaris Tears hitting a triple, and then Dean Curley in a very long sacrifice fly to right field warning track. Here's the thing. In Lindsey Nelson, both of those are home runs. And so all of a sudden, if that had been in Lindsey Nelson, that's a 1-run game with no outs. And instead, it was a 2-run game with 1 out. And they still came back and pulled off a comeback. Let's see. Elijah said, Drew Beam and Xander have been dealing recently. Absolutely, they have. If they pitch the way they have been, I seriously don't see how we lose this series. If Drew Beam has another night like he did last game, man, he had his breaking ball working last game. Let's see. Mississippi Vol, welcome, buddy. He said, good evening, bros. Been looking forward to hearing from you guys all day. Hey, we appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. That means a lot to us. Oreo Puppy Dog, welcome, bud. He said, "You think our batters will do well against A&M pitching? Not dissing, is just saying their pitchers look good." Well, no doubt. I mean, they're in the championship for a reason, right? So we'll talk actually about that here in just a minute when we talk about this upcoming weekend. Tony said Xander Sechrist has been our best starter the last 3 weeks. He's been incredible, and not just in run of the mill games either. These have been like games with serious ramifications and implications on the line, and he has done extremely well. Here's the thing. Let's talk just about for a moment what happened last night, or I guess yesterday afternoon. Uh, Florida State is a really, really good offense. And our pitching only allowed 2 runs that whole game, our pitching and defense. That's incredible. I mean, that is incredible that they were able to hold them to 2 runs. It was Florida State's lowest scoring output of the entire postseason. Just incredible. Just incredible. Moondrop Speedy, welcome. Good to have you. She said, "I'm really good feeling. They'll have to fight, but Tennessee's on a roll." Absolutely. So is Texas A&M. I will say that Texas A&M has not lost a game in the postseason yet. Tennessee has lost 1, and that was to Evansville in the Super Regional. But Texas A&M, they're on a roll too. They hadn't missed a beat. Moondrop Speedy said Beam was just magnificent. Xander was lights out. Do y'all think A&M can really beat this team twice? No, I do not. So we'll talk about that here in just a minute. My thoughts about what we've seen so far. My goodness, Friday night, holy moly! Talk about an emotional roller coaster. Just a roller coaster. And I do want to make one point. We all saw all the lines being drawn on all the photos from Florida State and then from Tennessee fans after the second time they played. Man. We all saw those lines and everything on all the photos. Here's the deal. I don't think that photo and the line that was drawn was fair to that umpire. Because even when you look at it straight from the side, you have to freeze frame it to know definitively did he swing or not. That, and here's the main thing. That is not the same angle that the umpire down the third baseline had. So that is not a fair comparison for that umpire. If you have to slow it down and look at it from a 90-degree perpendicular angle to see how close it really was, there's no way that umpire down the third baseline who's standing 100 feet away can see that good of an angle. From the angle that he was at, there's no way it looked like a full swing. There's no way. So I totally understand why he said it wasn't a swing. But here's the deal. Even after that, Blake Burke still had 2 strikes on him. There were still 2 outs in the game. He just came through clutch. And so he had to make a play. He did. And kudos to him for that. And Herb's exactly right. He said doesn't want to end the game on that. Absolutely. You're exactly right. 100%. If it's anywhere close, he's not going to call him out. He's just not. Elijah said, feels like we're peaking and have some bounces and calls go our way. Absolutely. Seems like we're a team of destiny. That's the way Rustin felt about it last week too. Sean, welcome, Sean. Good to have you, buddy. He said Friday night's game was really fun only because we won. Agreed. Man, what a difference. Because you go from playing 3 games if you lose to playing 5 games at least to win it all to get to the championship series. So such a huge deal. While it was happening, we tie the game there after Blake Burke's hit. And I looked at my son, and I was like, they need to win it now. They don't need to go into extras. They need to win it now. And thankfully they did. But that game was just incredible. I mean, just incredible. The fans, I mean, 3 of the first 4 games in Omaha end on walk-off hits. The fans got their money's worth big time. In the second game against North Carolina, Drew Beam was just dominant. I mean, he was fantastic. Had a no-hitter going, actually had a perfect game going until I think the 4th inning it was. And I wanted to tweet about it so bad, but you can't talk about it. Because if you talk, I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. But if you start talking about it, then they get on base. So I wanted to tweet about it while it was happening so bad, but I didn't. And then sure enough, they get a base, hit that little bloop single over second base, um, right over Christian Moore. It was so I hit the couch. So I went pop like that. And my family's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "They got on base." There went the perfect game. And then, last night, Xander. I mean, Beam and Xander both just dominated their games, their respective games, and it was fantastic to watch. Let's see. Elijah said Friday night's emotions were up there with Bama 2022 for me. I mean, I totally understand that. I don't know if I've ever screamed that loud. I was screaming so loud. It was fantastic. Tony said the last time Aggies lost was to us in the SEC tournament. Yep, that's exactly right. Going to be a tough series, 100%. Bobby, welcome, Bobby. Good to have you, man. He said same swing was going on all weekend with the calls going the same way for all teams about Blake Burke's check swing. Yep, absolutely. Bobby said missed calls in second inning set them up with 6 runs. Yeah, well, that too, and the fact that we dropped not even a short hop throw. Blake Burke just missed the throw. That would have been a double play, would have ended the inning. Instead, they get 3 runs that inning. 100%. Herb said this weekend stadium is going to be full of orange, I believe. Well, for sure. I totally agree. Moondrops B said Tennessee made an excellent North Carolina team look like a mid-major. That's hard to do. That's a great point. I mean, if it hadn't been for Honeycutt's 1 home run, they wouldn't have scored. So that's a fantastic point. Herb said, with Moore and company, have a great year, but Xander last 5 to 6 starts have been absolutely huge. No doubt about it. He's the one who sent him to the College World Series. He's the one that sent him to the championship series in the College World Series. I mean, just been phenomenal. Huge start in the SEC tournament. I mean, just phenomenal. Oreo Puppy Dog said, I can't believe how well we played against Florida State and North Carolina. I was actually worried about both games. I mean, I totally understand that. The wasn't a good look for the ACC. ACC went 0-5 against the SEC teams in the tournament. The only Tennessee. Hey, welcome. Good to have you. Good to see you. Great to see you. Rustin, let's talk about this weekend. So here's the schedule. If we're talking Eastern time, Saturday, game 1 on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern time. Then Sunday, it's an afternoon game, 2:00 Eastern time. That's on ABC. And then if necessary, we have a Monday night game that'll be back on ESPN. Sanders said, I really feel like we win this weekend. I agree. Rustin, I'll tell you what, why don't you give us your opinion about this weekend, and then we'll finish it out with our predictions. How about that?
I'll say the same thing I said before the regional, before the super regional, and before the World Series. We're the best team in the country, and no one else is close. And they have proven that over and over and over. We played awful in game 1, took Florida State's best punch, and still found a way to win. And it was a wake-up call, and we went out and just obliterated North Carolina and Florida State in those next 2 games. They never had a chance. They were not gonna come close to winning either one of those games. Statistically, of everybody that was in Omaha, Texas A&M was the second best team there. But if you look at the SEC tournament, Chris Stamos and AJ Causey absolutely gave them fits. That was Stamos' longest outing of the year. He was so effective. And then Causey came in and struck out 7 in 5 innings. They could not figure him out. And that was with Braden Montgomery. And that was with a healthy Jace Lavalette, who is absolutely struggling to move right now. I just don't see it. I don't see a way A&M wins a game. Their pitching staff is a bullpen by committee. It's Ryan Prager on Friday, and then coin flip. Who wants to go on Saturday? All right, another coin flip. Who wants to go on Sunday? In the last month, their game 2 and game 3 starters, their game 2 and game 3 starters over the last month in conference play and at the SEC tournament and in the regional and in Omaha were 5 different guys that they've just continued to rotate because they can't figure out who the starter should be. So it's really Ryan Prager on Friday and then hope this works out on Saturday and Sunday. They are used to throwing 5 or 6 guys in game 2, 5 or 6 guys in game 3, because they can't find another starter. So I'm sitting there looking at it going, we faced their best team in Hoover and beat them 7-4 with arguably our number 3 starter on the mound. And they're not as good anymore. Like, they've lost a lot. They're very banged up. They're trying to salvage a pitching staff and salvage starts. I don't think we need 3 games.
I hope you're right. So to Rustin's credit, he did predict a Tennessee Texas A&M championship series before the tournament started. I predicted a Tennessee and Kentucky championship series, and boy, Kentucky, I don't know what in the world they were doing against Florida the other night, but that was just awful. And so we do have a Tennessee versus Texas A&M series, best 2 out of 3.
I forgot one thing. I want to add one more thing.
Okay.
In the 3 games in Omaha, we are averaging 3.5 runs and 4.5 hits a game more than Texas A&M, and we faced significantly better pitching than they did. Because of the way it fell, the 2 games they played against Florida, they got Liam Peterson twice. That dude's terrible. So we out-hit them the entire time we've been in Omaha so far by a lot, facing significantly better pitching.
Well, it is nice when you have Christian Moore hitting for a cycle in Omaha. That's a good that's a nice thing to have. That's a nice luxury. Some of the comments coming through, we'll go to these, and then I'll give my prediction for the weekend too. The only Tennessee said our hitting against top tier pitching has been feeling pretty good about our matchup. No doubt. I mean, it should. We're the best hitting team in the country. I think Florida State could probably make a case they were the second best hitting team in the country, and we beat them. So I think twice. Yeah. Elijah said, and to think North Carolina's ranked number 4 in the country and we made them look that bad, it's insane. They just played a really, I mean, Drew Beam just dominated. I mean, that's the bottom line. Moonjosh B said, did y'all hear the announcer's comments on Tennessee's reaction to the win? Our guys handled it so businesslike. I agree. I noticed that too. I was thinking the exact thing while they were saying it. I was like, right before they started thinking, I was like, man, they're not celebrating. They know there's more to do. And then they ended up, Chris Burke mentioned it too. Of course, to their credit, Texas A&M handled it the exact same way after they beat Florida. Could be they were just dog tired after being up so late, but they handled it the same way. Herb said we need to wrap it up on national TV Sunday on ABC. Absolutely. That'd be awesome. I'm all for that. Tony makes a great point. He said Dean Curley getting that runner at home on the double play off Kirby's glove was huge. Both plays so important, so momentum shifting in that game. Also, Blake Burke throwing out the runner at second after Christian Moore's throw was big. Totally agree. Absolutely.
I don't know what in the world that
runner. Too.
I don't know what in the world that runner was doing on third when that ball went up the middle. Like, his reaction to that made 0 sense. It was bizarre.
You're talking about when Dean threw him out at home?
Yeah.
Let's see. Only Tennessee said if Stamos and Kazi are pitchers, they will be Saturday night.
Yeah.
I don't know what will look like pitching. That makes me think that That's the only game I think Texas A&M can win. Uh, so Kazi, if I'm memory serves correct, I'm pretty sure the last time they played Texas A&M, no, who was it? Somebody was talking about, oh, it was when they played Evansville. The guy was talking about Kazi looked like he was throwing a wiffle ball. When he's got it moving, it's very effective. We saw that his first inning against Florida State. I mean, he made them look bad in his first inning. After that, they started hitting him. So hopefully he can come in and throw really well against Texas A&M.
The first time we faced Texas A&M, Chris Stamos went 3 2/3 inning, only allowed 1 run on 1 hit and struck out 3. Then AJ Causey came in and went 4 innings, struck out 7, only allowed 2 runs. Then Kirby came in for an inning and 2/3, struck out 2, gave up 1 run. So, we gave up 4 earned runs over 9, struck out 12. And that's when they were at full strength. Braden Montgomery went 0 for 5.
So Rustin has mentioned that twice now. He's mentioned that Texas A&M is currently not at full strength. What he's referring to is their best player, arguably their best player, Braden Montgomery, unfortunately got injured earlier in the postseason. He's done. He is done for the rest of the season. Actually, if you noticed, right after Tennessee's game yesterday and right before Texas A&M and Florida started playing, they were showing like clips of pregame before the Texas A&M game, and you actually could see Christian Moore and Braden Montgomery talking, standing in the dugout, and Braden Montgomery was on his little knee scooter thing there. That's who Christian Moore was talking to in that clip. So Braden Montgomery will not be playing. He was arguably their best player.
And Jace Lavalette is the next best, and he's got a badly pulled hamstring. He cost them a run. He cost them a run against Florida the other night because he couldn't run after a ball. Should have been a routine out, and the ball fell because he couldn't move. So, when your best player is on a scooter in the dugout and your next best player is inning by inning, if he tweaks that hamstring at all, he's done because he's barely able to move right now. That's your 2 best hitters. You can't win in Omaha without those guys.
And speaking of injuries, Hunter Inslee implied, well, he didn't imply, he's pretty much straight up said it, after the game yesterday that he expects to be full go this weekend. So that's good news. I hope that's accurate. That's good news. I'm sure adrenaline will have a little bit to do with that as well. Let's see. Alpha Man 06, good to have you. He said Moore should have been first team All-American. No doubt about it. And I think he's proving that in Omaha. I think that he is 100% proving he should have been first team All-American. Elijah said, didn't we get to their ace early as well in that game against Texas A&M? I can't remember. I think so. If
they threw, right. They didn't. Yeah, actually, they threw Ryan Prager. He went 2 1/3.
So
allowed a run on 3 hits. I remember that start. So he went out there in the first inning, looked pretty good. Went out there in the second inning. We hit some balls hard, right at people. And then he goes back out to start the third, and we hit 3 rockets all over the field, and they immediately took him out.
We'll see. Sam said, I believe our guys taking everyone as a serious threat and coming ready to play full throttle is driving us. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Listen, this is going to be a great matchup this weekend. These are, I think the 2 best teams in the country did make it to the championship series this year.
Yeah.
It is going to be a very good series.
And if Braden Montgomery was healthy, and if Lavalette was healthy, my opinion would probably be a little different because they're a very different team with those 2 guys healthy and in the lineup. But the reality is, I would not be surprised at all if Jace Lavalette has to do something really strenuous in game one. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him again the rest of the weekend. He is not moving well at all.
Well, especially, okay, so to that point, if something happens in game one, that game's going to end Eastern time at least 10:30 p.m., maybe 11.
Yep.
All right. So then you got to turn right around and be back at the park. I mean, what, less than 12 hours later, 12 hours later at the most, and be ready to play by 2:00 p.m. the next afternoon. I mean, they're not even going to be getting back to the hotel until midnight. And so they get back to the hotel at midnight. You go to sleep, wake up, go immediately right back to the park. I mean, that's not a lot of rest time for a dude that's pulled his hamstring. I mean, kudos to him that he's out there trying to like tough it out with a pulled hamstring, but it's not an ideal situation if you're a Texas A&M Aggie. Sam said, I hope ESPN and others continue to feed Texas A&M rat poison, telling them that they're unbeatable. I mean, they've been pretty nice to the Vols lately, too.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oreo Puppy Dog said, I wanted to face Florida because you know how we all feel about Florida. I wanted to beat them. Let's see. Elijah said, and the reason their pitching looks so good in Omaha is because the best offense
Correct.
they faced is ranked like the 100th or something.
Correct. Yeah. Before Omaha, for those of you who missed last Thursday's show, we gave those rankings. Florida did not face any kind of significant offense. They, again, A&M's a totally different team without Montgomery and a crippled Lavalette.
Crippled.
I mean, I don't know other way to say it. Kentucky didn't hit their weight the whole time they were in Omaha. They just,
I don't know what happened with them against Florida, really. I mean, I don't know what was going on there. It was bizarre.
Too much extra is not enough focus. Nick Mingione lets them, they talk about let's get weird and all that stuff, but they're way too unfocused. They worry about too many things that don't matter.
The only thing you see said, you can't beat us when we're focused, period.
True.
I mean, that's fair. I think that there's demonstrable proof of that. Friday night, Christian Moore gets 2 strikes on him. And he turns around and he tells Blake Burke, all right, let's fight. Let's fight. He wasn't going to lose. I mean, he was competing, and that's one word you've heard them say over and over and over while in Omaha is they were competing. Let's see. Sam said, once the game starts, pure shock and awe. Let's see. Eric said, I understand, Rustin, what you're saying about A&M's pitching being lackluster, but can you explain why ESPN and all the national media saying Texas A&M is going to be the best team Tennessee's played in Omaha? Well, I mean, I think they are going to be the best team.
We said that last Thursday. Statistically, Tennessee is by far the number 1 team, and the second best team in the country is Texas A&M. But right now, without Braden Montgomery and Jace Lavalette, it's a very distant second.
Hey, Papa J, thank you so much, man. That's awesome. He said, let's win 2 straight and into early. I'm all for that, 100%. He gave a 1999 super chat. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate that. You're the man. Thank you, Papa J. Let's see. Herb said Florida State's base running lacked a lot. Yeah, no doubt. The dude getting thrown out at home, the dude getting thrown out at second. After, I mean, he didn't even hardly attempt to make a play. I mean, as far as sliding, he was just like, oh, I'm out. And then, okay, another one. The double play Blake Burke turn when he tagged first and threw it to second. That dude, he almost looked like he slowed down before he crossed home plate.
He absolutely did.
And you can't slow down. I mean, you just that was totally on that dude right there. I mean, that he should have beaten that tag, especially. And his teammate tried to help him out. His teammate stopped and backed up to try to make Dean Curley come at him and tag him.
Yep.
And Dean still was able to tag the guy before the other guy crossed home plate. I mean, that was 100% on the guy on third base. Herb's exactly right. Their base running, it cost them at least one run. But I mean, really two. Now, fortunately, that wouldn't have changed the outcome of the game, but no doubt their base running was not good, and you can't have that in Omaha. You can't do that. And almost giving up free bases almost cost us on Friday. They really did a great job of Tennessee did of not giving up free bases Sunday and Wednesday, and that's why they're in the championship series. Troy, welcome, Troy. Good to have you, buddy. He said, "Let's go Vols." Absolutely, no doubt about it. Mississippi Vols said, "Rustin, you just made me feel a lot better. I've been worried sick." It's a good thing numbers don't lie, right? It's a good thing. Bobby said, "It's a done deal, isn't it, Rustin? You sure look confident." Yeah, Rustin, he's more confident than I am.
I mean, if you've watched the last few weeks, my tone hasn't changed since before the regional. Like I said, going into the regional, it wasn't a good group. We were going to wax them all. We'd be fine. We should have done the same thing in the super regional. We had one letdown. And it was completely us. It wasn't anything Evansville did. And then I said the same thing going into Omaha. We are the best team, and we're proving it. And, I thought coming into Omaha, A&M was going to give us some fits when we got to the championship. But then Braden Montgomery went down. Then Jace Lavalette got injured. It's just not the same team. And they just don't have the offensive firepower. Again, in the 3 games in Omaha, we are averaging 3.5 runs and 4.5 hits more than A&M against better pitching. Like, they just don't have the firepower to hang with us.
The only thing you see said about Stamos and Kazi, it's their inconsistency that worries me. I know they can do the job, hoping nerves don't get to them. Good news is they're older guys, and I think that's a good thing for us. Stamos is a 6th-year guy. Kazi is an older guy, but he's gone. I mean, he's not going to be back. But that's working in our favor. But that's a good point.
I don't necessarily know that they're inconsistent. I think that their styles both lend itself to certain teams are going to struggle with them, and certain teams are going to find ways to hit them. And, I think if there's anything you can kind of be assured on, Schloss is Tony Vitello 10 years ago. Schloss recruits. I mean, Tony Vitello was Schloss's assistant coach. Josh Elander played for him at TCU. I mean, our almost entire staff are former Schloss disciples. So we recruit the exact same type of player that A&M does. And our players have fits. When you go back and listen to them talk about preseason scrimmages, fall games, our guys struggled with Stamos and Kazi. Schloss's entire roster are a bunch of players that swing the bat just like our guys do. They come out of their shoes on everything. And, that's why Stamos is effective, because he can locate, he stays down, he can mix. Kazi can throw that devastating changeup. Guys who want to swing out of their shoes on every pitch can't handle AJ Kazi's changeup. That's why he struck out 7 of them in 4 innings in Hoover. And it'll be probably the exact same thing again, because it's the same reason our hitters don't want to face AJ Kazi. It's just not conducive to how they hit.
Well, and to Stamos's credit, not his most recent outing, the outing before that, he got pulled really quickly, and it was almost unfair to him because there were 2 errors made behind him in the top of the first inning that he should have been out of the inning.
Honestly, I was sitting there watching it going, this is crazy. Like, the guy has done nothing to merit being taken out. He's grooving. Like, they're not hitting him. I was a little shocked they took him out.
Yep. So hopefully our defense continues to play like they did the last 2 games. And Tony said, pretty good outfield defense so far, huh? Y'all agree?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tennessee outfield 2, Omaha wall 0. 3 if you include Dylan Drowling's catch yesterday. And kudos to Carlos, the Vamos Falls gentleman, for the video he put out with the little circular Velcro thing with the tennis ball. And he had his daughter toss it up in the air and he caught it and then fell against his front door of his house like he was a Tennessee outfielder. That was well played. Well played. Herb said, hey, tip of the cap to Sully in Florida. Great run to get to Omaha. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. They had not had a good season. People were some folks are upset that they even were allowed into the tournament, but they snuck in late as a 3 seed and they were in the national semifinals. So, I mean, like, that's a pretty good run. Totally agree. That's where they should have been based on preseason projections because they were preseason number 2. And so, I mean, like, they should have been there. But they finally started playing like they were supposed to have played all year. Elijah said this year's Kentucky team might have been the most annoying sports team I've ever seen. Let's see. Bobby said, I want to watch party with Omaha Tony.
That would be terrible television. I don't talk during games. I have a bad habit of reverting back to playing days and coaching days, and I sit and analyze. I watch pitch sequence, I watch spin rate, I watch hitters angles, stances, and I don't really say anything for the entire 4 hours the game's on.
Tony asked a question about Matthew Dallas, so we'll come back to that in just a second. Elijah said, genuine question, if we win it all, is the comeback on Friday the best comeback in UT sports history?
Yes.
So that's a multifaceted question, really, because now we're basing season outcomes as part of single game comebacks. So the question isn't, is it this best single game comeback in UT sports history? The question really is it the most impactful comeback in UT sports history? And I mean, if that's the case, then you'd have to say the only thing that could compare to it then would be 98 Arkansas football. The Sterner stumble and fumble, because they ended up. Oh, actually, somebody else just commented that. I just saw that. Tennessee Junior said, although 98 Arkansas was nuts, he said he thinks this might be the best comeback. So, I mean, that would be, if we're talking about what has the most impactful outcome on the season as a whole, then, I mean, really this would be equivalent to the 98 stumble and fumble, because they would both be national champions. Personally, I think the single greatest comeback in UT sports history was Josh Dobbs at South Carolina, down by however many points we were down in the fourth quarter with like 2 minutes and 19 seconds left. And the ESPN projection thing gave us a 99% chance of losing the game. We come back, send it into overtime. Kurt Magid sacks the dude in overtime, knocking them out of field goal range, and we win. I mean, that was bonkers. So that would be my answer as far as single game comeback.
I would give it to this one only because we made this one happen, and this one is going to lead to a national championship because we made it happen. I don't know. I was at the 98 Arkansas game, and I don't know that you can really say that was a comeback, because all Clint Sterner had to do was take a knee. Like, he coughed it up for some crazy reason that made no sense. No one touched him. No one. He had no reason to fumble that ball.
So David Cutcliffe has your answer for that. There's a video clip ESPN shows. It's an interview with David Cutcliffe, and they're talking about that play. And he said Billy Ratliff pushed the offensive guard back into Sterner and caused him to step on Sterner's foot.
Yeah, but even still, we didn't create, like, you just fall down. Like, you don't try to make a handoff. You don't,
Well, you definitely don't brace yourself with the football as
Yeah.
you hit the ground. That's a gimme right there. You don't use the football to brace yourself as you're falling. That's
Yeah.
never a good move. Let's see. Only Tennessee said, "Can you explain why Texas A&M has the most walks this season? What do they do that causes that? Is it because they look to swing on strikes? So they got good patience, good eye. What do you think?"
So I actually saw that question pop up. So I pulled up the NCAA stats. They are number one in the country in walks. We're number 7. And if you look in between, South Carolina's number 3, Oklahoma State's number 6, North Carolina's number 8, Georgia's number 9. The thing that all those teams have in common is they all try to play bully ball. And so they're all sitting fastball. So if you don't have a pitcher who can land a lot of off-speed pitches for strikes, teams like our team, like A&M, are going to draw a lot of walks because they're just sitting there waiting on fastballs.
Eric said, "I agree. I don't think Kazi should have been taken out of that game 4 last, but that might work in Tennessee's favor Saturday because I'm sure Kazi remembers being pulled out as well." Alpha Man 06 said, "We have about 4 to 5 guys that can all play center field." We do. That's a fair point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Bobby said, "Do you think since Texas A&M has seen Stamos and Kazi, they'll have them figured out?" No, I don't. That's a good question. But let's go back and think about especially Stamos. I mean, really, what Rustin described in that last game that they pitched, that's really your best case scenario for Stamos. Really, what you want out of Stamos is for him to go 3 innings and hit and get out 9 people. That's what you want him to do, preferably in order, because then the whole lineup has only seen that style of arm one time. And so the first time they come up with Kazi in the 4th inning, now you've got 9 straight hitters again that have not seen an arm like that, because you're going from a 3/4 over the top lefty that's, heavy curveball, big swooping curveball, to a sidearm righty that can gas it up to 93 and has a slider that looks like he's throwing a wiffle ball. I mean, like it's 2 totally different things. The ball is breaking different directions. And so in theory, if you obviously this would be amazing if it happened, but if they went through the lineup twice, 18 straight hitters, and they were able to sit them down in order, then now you've gotten through 6 innings and they haven't even seen a pitcher more than once, because they would have only seen each guy one time. I mean, that's an ideal situation. I don't think that's happened yet a single time in the season, but we got close the last time we played A&M. Let's see. Eric said, "I'm sure Kazi will want to prove to Tony and Martin that he can pitch a good game when there are big implications involved." Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody does, right? Like, I totally agree with that. Absolutely. Papa J. Papa J said, "The commentators." I like that. That's good. Said every excuse for Florida State losing. I mean, I get they're trying to be unbiased. I get it, but they were also like, man, Tennessee's good, because they are. Charlie, welcome, Charlie. Good to have you, buddy. He said, "Go Vols." Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Herb said, "Just a thought. We would have to replace like 2022 team, 7 of 8 position players, and we keep the Omaha momentum going." So that's a good point. Going into this season, there's that famous article now that everybody's been tweeting where the guy from SEC Unfiltered said, "Is this a down year incoming for the Tennessee Vols baseball program?" Well, nope. I mean, there was a big announcement today. Dude from, I think it was Northern Florida, is going to Florida. He was like second team up, freshman All-American, something like that. And people are like, People already in the transfer portal. Yeah, they are. Don't worry. Tennessee's already in the transfer portal too. There's just no talk about it because they're still playing. That's the thing. Like, it's the sad state of college athletics. There is no such thing as a program anymore. There is a season, there's a team, but there's not a program because people are just transferring left and right, like Matthew Dallas, which somebody asked about earlier. We'll get to that here in a second. Jared, welcome, Jared. Good to have you, man. He said, I like the Vols coming back against Florida with Dobbs and Jennings. I think it was 2016. Oh, yeah, I remember that. The Juwan's famous catch, well, two famous catches in the same game. One was
Jalen Tabor.
Yep, that one down the sideline. And then the other one, Tabor literally fell down. Like he fell down. And then the other one was when he climbed over that dude's back, that linebacker's back, and caught the ball off the dude's back. That was an amazing catch. Ethan Wolf with a big catch that game. There's a name I didn't expect to say tonight. Directly over the top of his head, back of the end zone. Beautiful catch. What a game. What a game. Elijah said, are you guys kind of worried about next season? It seems like we're going to lose a lot. Oh, well, we just talked about that, actually. I didn't even see that yet. My bad.
Just wait. It's like Jay Johnson said the other day. LSU media was interviewing him, and they were like, how do you build a program here? And he stopped and looked at the media guy and said, we don't build programs anymore. We build seasons. Yeah. Because the days of building programs are over. Yeah, we're building seasons. And, the reality is Tennessee has the best fan support and best facilities that you can get now, and more coming. They have one of the top NIL programs in the country, so that's a non-issue. And the reality is all of Tony's players love playing for Tony. And so, you'll see a ton of guys transfer over the next month, because after Monday, all of our guys will head to the Wood Bat Leagues. They'll go to the Cape. They'll go to the Mid-Atlantic League. They'll go to the West Coast League. And last year, that's where we got all our transfers. Like, the coaches went on the road a little bit, but a lot of it was the players at the Wood Bat Leagues, the college Wood Bat Leagues, saying, hey, you need to come play with me. And then calling the coaches and going, hey, I got one. Tony talked about that. The players were as much of the recruiting process as they were last year, and it was mostly in the Wood Bat Leagues.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. They now have demonstrable proof that you can have success transferring to Tennessee. I mean, look at Chase Dolander. Look at, from this year, look at Billy Amick and Causey and
Nate Snead.
Nate Snead. Yeah. I mean, like there's proof now that you can transfer in, have one great season, and you're going to get drafted. I mean, Billy Amick's going to be a first-round draft pick. That's good ammunition on the recruiting trail. Tennessee Junior said, best single game comeback not leading to a championship was Dobbs to Jennings Hail Mary. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. There's the personal foul penalty helped get him in range, and then Dobbs threw it. Yeah, that's great. That's a great choice. What a difference 9 seconds can make, right? What a difference 9 seconds can make. Because we go from watching them throw a 50-yard touchdown pass to watching us throw a 50-yard touchdown pass. Pretty sweet. Let's see. Big Orange said, go Vols, baby. We beat Florida State twice. So that took care of my old Seminole buddy. I'm glad it worked out for you, man. I'm glad it worked out for you. Sam agreed with Tennessee Junior. He said the Dobnail boot, the lights went out quick in Georgia. Yes, they sure did. My favorite part was obviously winning that game, but a very close second was seeing all the Tennessee fans' reaction in those videos from when they were up in the upper level at Sanford Stadium. That was great. So Elijah said, wait, Dallas is transferring. Herb said Matthew Dallas made the worst mistake in his career. But earlier, Tony had asked thoughts on Matthew Dallas entering the transfer portal. Matthew Dallas is a freshman pitcher at Tennessee. He entered the transfer portal today. Well, he didn't enter it. He announced his intention to enter the portal once the season is over. And so, I mean, here's the thing. One of two things is either happening here, in my opinion. Then, Rustin, you can tell me what you think is going on. Either he's making a knee-jerk reaction, he saw what happened this year. There was older guys in front of him, and he's like, I'm not going to get on the mound anytime soon. Either that's what he's thinking, or he's like, I know who's already coming next year, and I'm going to be in the same spot. There's going to be older transfers in front of me who are going to be pitching. In my opinion, one of those two things is happening. Could be wrong. Could be something else. What do you think, Rustin?
I think it's the typical high school kid with big accolades that probably wasn't really college ready yet and got to college and found out the hard way that he wasn't college ready. The hard part is, and we've talked about this before with Chase Burns, you never know what they're being told behind the scenes. All of these guys are allowed to have agents. They call them advisors, but they're really agents. That's the one thing that's unique about baseball from every other college sport. And their agents are all connected to other agents at other schools.
Right.
And, there's money changing hands behind the scenes.
Ding, 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 ding.
And you just never know what they're being told. I will say this personally, I think Matthew Dallas has a big ceiling. I did not see a guy that should have received the accolades he had when he had his opportunities this year. I didn't see a guy with an explosive fastball. I didn't see a guy who could locate. If you don't have an explosive fastball, then you need to be a 3-pitch mix guy, and you need to be able to locate all over the place. I saw a guy who probably got away with a above average fastball in high school, and it inflated his numbers. And when he got into college and met reality, it didn't play anymore. So, I would love to see him stay. Just because he announced he's planning to enter doesn't mean he actually will leave. There will be a conversation that'll happen when they get back from Omaha, and they'll figure out what makes the most sense for him. But I would also say this. It could be that he already knows who's coming in. We just signed one of the top JUCO pitchers in America for next year. But when you look at our bullpen and you look at the guys we have coming back or potentially have coming back, we still got some dudes down there. And if we add in a few key arms, we're going to be just fine. I mean, the reality is if Nate Snead wants to return, depending on where his draft status is, we may see Nate Snead back next year. JJ Garcia is going to be an absolute stud, and he's just down there waiting his turn. And next year, you're going to see him be a major contributor. Andrew Binky is going to be our primary left-handed arm. He's going to be Kirby for the next 2 years coming out of the bullpen. He's got a funky delivery. He'll always be effective. Aaron Combs will probably go pro. Austin Hunley is very good. He's been sitting down there just waiting his turn. Redshirt freshman. He's going to come in and do some things. AJ Russell will be back next year. Derek Schaefer, who flashed multiple times this year, is back next year. He will be very good. Dylan Loy will probably be in the mix for a starting spot. Marcus Phillips will finally get to be a focal point, and that guy can be very, very good. And then we've got a red shirt, Braden Sharp, left-handed pitcher, who has a big-time arm. They redshirt him this year, so he'll be in the mix next year. Like, they've got some guys just sitting down there waiting their turn who understand, okay, this year's not my time, but my time's coming. And they're going to be really, really good on the pitching staff next year. Like I said, add a few key transfers, maybe 1 or 2 frontline starters. All of a sudden, they're just fine.
Jeanette, welcome. Good to have you. She said, "Does anyone know why Florida State didn't pitch Arnold in the last game?" That is a great question.
So Link Jarrett was asked that question, and he said, "We talked about it, and he didn't feel he was ready." Okay. As a former pitcher and as a baseball coach, I have two major issues with that response. Number one, you're talking about the opportunity to make it to the national championship, and you tell your coach, "I'm not ready" after 5 days rest? What in the world? Like, there better be something physically wrong with you. Number two, he just hurt his draft status next year because every pro scout just heard a starting pitcher say, "I can't be ready after 5 days rest." Major League Baseball is a 5-day rest organization. Like, you have to throw every fifth day. So that was a huge mistake on a lot of levels to say that publicly. I also kind of, and I have issues with Link Jarrett. I think he's very punchable. Um, I, I can't fathom telling the media publicly, "Yeah, my ace just didn't feel like he could go today." Make something up. Like, we discussed it. He's got a little twinge. He's got a little tweak. He's not fully 100%. We don't want to risk it. Don't say, "Yeah, we talked about it and he just didn't feel like he could go." What?
He definitely threw him under the bus a little bit there.
That was terrible.
Mina Laggy said, speaking of comebacks, which is the best? She said, "I don't know which is the best, but I know when Simo said, 'Let's fight,' and we won Friday night was the best for me." Oh, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Chris said, "Could they have taken Causey out to try to save him for a more important outing?" Nah, I don't think so. That was back in the SEC tournament, the game we were talking about there. That's a good question. Good to have you, Chris. We're glad you're here, by the way, buddy. Herb said Dallas was high on draft boards last year. They said they were lucky to get him to campus. Yeah, I mean, I trust what Frank Anderson sees.
Well, I mean, even our eyeballs. I mean, like, again, he threw 17 innings this year. I didn't see a single inning out of the 17 that I was like, "Whoa, that guy's really good." I
Yeah,
saw an above average high school kid, and honestly, it made me question who he was playing against in high school. Like, did he just have a really weak region around him? Was he playing for a traveling team that made him look better than he was? Again, I think he can end up being very good, but he's not ready right now.
Big Orange said we had to get payback on old Coach Link Jarrett for the 22 Notre Dame meltdown. So just if you didn't know, Link Jarrett was the coach of Notre Dame when they came to Tennessee for the Super Regional in 2022. Let's see here.
My issue with Link Jarrett, have you ever noticed that anytime he gets interviewed, it's always excuses about why his team didn't win? He never gives the other team any credit, and when he does, it's always like a sideways compliment. Like, there's something extra. It's never, "Yeah, they kicked our tails today. They're a much better team." Never. He never says that. There's always something extra added in there.
Let's see. Tennessee Junior agreed with your take on Link Jarrett's comments. The only thing you see said, I think Link said it on purpose because he didn't like that Arnold wasn't ready to play. And I agree with you. I think that's exactly why he said it.
But even still, you don't throw your player under the bus publicly. I mean, that's terrible. You want to talk about hurting recruiting? Do that out loud.
Well, that's true. That's a good point. Keg 2071. That's a good interesting username there. He said thoughts on. Sorry, I got distracted by the name. I was trying to figure out 2071. I was like, is that the year 2071? Like, I don't know. But so thoughts on A&M's pitching. Rustin, you want to say what you said earlier, and then I'll chime in.
Yeah, Ryan Prager is the primary starter. He'll be the game one starter. After that, it's a coin toss. Over the last month and a half, they've had 5 different guys start, and there's been no consistency among any of them for game 2 and game 3. It's really just kind of been, okay, we think this guy might be successful. Let's roll him out there and see what happens. Don't be surprised at all if they throw in game 2 and if there is a game 3. If they throw game 2 and game 3, you might see 5, 6, maybe even 7 bullpen arms both games, because they just don't trust anybody to start.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You're not going to make it to the national championship game without really good pitching. So they do have, one reliable game 1 guy. After that, it's kind of a committee approach. But, I mean, they're good. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the game that they're in now.
Yeah.
They got that Cortez kid that comes out of the bullpen who, dude, is really good. Now, what was shocking yesterday was he came in the game against Florida, threw 8 straight balls, and they took him out immediately because he walked 2 dudes on 8 pitches. But all throughout the season, he is their guy that they bring in to just end it. And I mean, he's their closer, but he's not like a 1-inning closer. He'll come in and throw 2 or 3 innings. He's very, very good. So I mean, it's going to be a phenomenal series. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's going to be really, really good. Let's see some of the other questions come in. Oh, I'm about to sneeze, I think. I'll mute myself if I feel like it's going to make its way out. Big Orange said, if you're not 100% ready to go against our batting lineup, you're going to get totally rocked. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, listen, it can't be fun to know that your number's being called to pitch against Tennessee's lineup. Because, I mean, it's arguably the best hitting lineup in the history of college baseball.
Yeah, but I go back to 5 days rest. There is no way that you shouldn't be ready to go after
agreed.
5 days rest.
Yeah, agreed. And you can't shy away from it. You got to get right back up there. Miss Leval said, I agree about Link Jarrett. Russ, we owed him a little some for 2022. I took great pleasure in beating him. Let's see. Elijah said, the fact that this team is 2 wins away from a natty and the first 60-win season in SEC history shows how insanely good this team is. Totally agree. Yep. I think that they have now proven, even last game, Chris Burke and then we're still talking about the 2022 team, how good they were, and they were very good. But I think this team has now proven that they are better than the other team. Like Burke said, they're not as emotional, and they're competitors, man. And they come in and they just compete their tails off.
They channel. I wouldn't say they're not as emotional. When he made that comment the other night, I was like, I don't know about that. I think they channel their emotion differently. I think that 2022 team they were very vocal about every time they got emotional, every time they got excited, they were loud. These guys just get angry. Like they just get mad and go take it out on somebody. And I think that's the biggest difference.
Alphamano 6 said, who's playing second base and right field next year that can replace that productivity? Well, I mean, here's the deal. There's not going to be another Christian Moore. Maybe in our lifetime, if I'm being totally honest.
Sure.
I mean, the dude, how many years has Tennessee had a baseball team? Like 100? And the dude did something this year that has literally never been done in the 100 years prior of Tennessee baseball. I mean, no joke. Like we may never see a guy break that single season home run record ever again while we're alive. So you're just not going to replace that. But the flip side of that is, who knows? I mean, with the transfer portal, literally anything can happen. We may not even have the starting second baseman and right fielder on the roster right now. They may be transferring in from some other place, who knows where in the country. So there's just no way to know.
And it's not so much about the position either. I mean, other positions can replace productivity. I mean, Cal Stark graduates this year. Right now at Omaha, Cal Stark is 0 for. I don't know if you realize that. Cal Stark does not have a hit in Omaha. He is 0 for 10. Next year it's going to be Cannon Peebles back there. And I think we'll see the good Cannon Peebles return after a year working and getting better.
Agreed.
And, that production can easily match what was in right field because that's what he did at North Carolina State last year. So, you've got guys that can replace production in other spots. It just may not look the same.
And let's be honest, I don't think Christian Moore is going to be playing second base at the next level either. I think he'll be in the outfield.
So that was the interesting thing when Hunter Inslee got hurt. Christian Moore was in the dugout politicking to move to center.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see. The only Tennessee said I think Arnold didn't want to hurt his stats. All the talk after he pitched against Tennessee was that he didn't look as good, and I believe he knows it because of the hitters he was up against. I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Tennessee Junior said, got to get up stupid early. Daggone adulting sucks. Good show, y'all. Go Big Orange. Hey, totally understand, man. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate that.
Adulting's the worst.
Big Orange said we're 58-12. That's insane. We've won the SEC regular season and tournament championship. This has been a great year. I mean, think about that. If they win it all this weekend, they will have 60 wins. They will be SEC. Ever. Yep. They'll be SEC regular season and tournament champions and national champions. I mean,
and first team ever in Division I history to have 5 different guys hit 20 home runs in the same season.
Yep, already did it. Absolutely.
That stat by itself is mind-blowing because you think about the death bats. You think about LSU in the mid-90s and those loaded bats they were using. Those teams didn't have 5 guys hit 20 bombs. And this team's doing it with BB core bats. Like, it's unbelievable.
Elijah said Simo has proven himself as the best Tennessee baseball player ever. I think that's a good question.
I don't know about player, definitely season. This is the best season any Tennessee baseball player has ever had. It's going to be hard to put him in front of Todd Helton.
So it's interesting you mentioned that because Reed Carringer asked a question on Twitter the other day, and Reed's going to join us after the College World Series. We haven't talked about a day yet. It's either going to be this Sunday or next Sunday, but there is a chance that they could have a game 3. So my guess is it'll probably be next Sunday, which I guess that'd be the 30th. Yeah. So that's probably when Reed will join us. But we're actually going to rank our top 5 players in Tennessee baseball history in that show. So that's a great question. Let's see. Alpha Man said he was shocked about Cal's numbers. Yeah, I mean, he hadn't had a good Omaha yet, which means he's due. So
there's the understatement of the weekend.
So hopefully this weekend Cal breaks out and has one of those games where he hits like 2 home runs or something. Herb said Dylan Dreiling and Kavar Steer is going to be huge losses. Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean,
sure,
for sure.
This team's going to look totally different next year. I mean, it's going to be unique to watch how Tony adapts his style because he's clearly going to go find power bats in the portal. Like he's got to go get some power bats. But when you look at the guys that are returning and you look at the freshmen, number 1 freshman recruiting class in America, when you look at the freshmen who are moving into new roles, they're all speed guys. So you're going to see them play bully ball. They're going to have some, they're going to live for the home run, but you're also going to see them steal a lot of bases and you'll probably see them become better bunters. So it's going to be just a very different type of game next year for Tennessee.
Drew, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, appreciate the update on young pitching arms coming up next year. Gives me a lot to look forward to. Oh, yeah, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Dylan Loy throw more.
Mm-hmm.
Tony
I'm telling you, do not sleep on JJ Garcia. Like, that dude is going to be a big-time player.
Tony said he doesn't get talked about enough. I'm going to miss Dylan Dreiling next year. Absolutely. Only Tennessee said Christian Moore wanted to be in the outfield, but admitted he wouldn't have laid his body out on the line like Tears and Hunter, so it was good he was in the infield. That's true. He did say that. Sean, good question, buddy. He said, what are death bats? I've heard y'all refer to them a few times now.
So right now, and really you go back to like the, I don't know, probably 2003-ish, the BB core era came into effect where every college and high school player had to swing a -3 bat. The bats were tested to make sure they stayed below certain exit velocities, to make sure that they weren't lethal. Before, I think it was 2003, especially in the mid 90s when I was playing in college, we had -5 bats. So already you've got a lighter bat than what current college players are using. But the caps came off. And so you could load them very easily and then Gorilla Glue the cap back on, and no one could ever prove it was loaded. So pretty much every bat that was swung in college baseball in the 90s and early 2000s were completely loaded. And we called them death bats because if you were a pitcher on the mound, you were constantly concerned for your life. The ball could come off so fast that if it hit you, it could potentially kill you, because you never saw it till it hit you.
Yeah, so -5 means like it would be a 33-inch bat that weighed 28 ounces. So there's a 5, number difference there. 32-inch bat, 27 ounces. Now that would be a 33-inch bat that's 30 ounces, and so on and so forth.
So we all called them death bats because they were legitimately deadly. I mean, they were dangerous, and it's why college and high school baseball changed the bat rules and went to a -3 and started testing exit velocities, because it genuinely had gotten way too dangerous. I mean, imagine a Christian Moore or a Blake Burke standing there with a even lighter bat that's loaded.
Yeah.
Think what those guys could do with that.
Yeah, and by loaded he means like people would put tennis balls or racket balls in them, stuff like that. Because they're hollow on the inside.
So if you load it with a tennis ball or a racket ball, it would get more bounce off the barrel, which created even more exit velocity.
Let's see. Elijah made a good point. Yeah, all those awesome stats we just mentioned, and Tennessee's done that with no first-team All-Americans. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Sam said that LSU team that set the home run record didn't run rule anyone.
That's true also. There was no run rule back then. So, we lost a lot of innings this year because of that run rule.
Alpha Man said he's loving this because he lives in Buckeye country and they don't care about any other sport other than football. He said, Big Orange said, it's been so awesome to be a Tennessee fan the last few years. It's going to be that way for years to come. Amen, brother. Absolutely. Tony said, I've been around a long time. Todd Helton's the best player I've ever seen at Tennessee baseball. That's him in the photo right there, over my left shoulder. You're right, my left. Let's see. Well, I said I saw somewhere that we lost 27 innings this season due to run rule. 2 full games gone. 3 full games. Yeah, he clarified it right there. He said we would have smashed that record if there was no run rule. Absolutely.
Very true.
Papa J said, help out the brothers and hit that like button. Hey, I like that. That's a good idea. Moondrops B makes a good point. She said, I'm so excited to see Antigua on the field next year. Absolutely. Dude is smoother than peanut butter, man. Smoother than a fresh jar of Skippy. I think that's in a song. And so I'm excited to see him play.
So I want to respond to something she said there, because I think he's gotten a bad rap. She said, hopefully his hitting will improve. So I just want to remind you, coming into the season, he won the job. He was the starting shortstop. He beat out Dean Curley. And it wasn't defense only. He out-hit Dean Curley in all their preseason scrimmages and fall ball. He was the better hitter. So, don't assume because of his stature. And I'll tell you one thing to go find, and it'll blow your mind. There's a video of him in high school. He's sitting in a chair at home plate, and they were just goofing off. A coach is throwing him batting practice, and he is sitting in a chair, swinging with just his arms, and he is hitting home runs. Sitting in a chair at home plate. Go find it. It's on YouTube. It's easy to find. Ariel Antigua is sitting in a chair at home plate, hitting home runs off his butt. It's crazy impressive.
Well, so I still haven't given my prediction for this weekend, and I told my wife I'd be done by 10. So she's waiting on me to watch a movie. So we're going to go watch a movie. But so my prediction for this weekend, These are the two best teams in America. I genuinely believe that. It's hard to beat a team this good twice in a row. So I'm going to say it goes 3 games, and I'm going to say Tennessee wins it. Tennessee wins game 1 and game 3. I think that's what happens. I really like Drew Beam, though, the way he's throwing right now. So if a team could do it, I'd say Tennessee could do it. But man, it's just these two. It's just going to be an incredible weekend of baseball. Mr. Jones said the Vols are going to sweep. Elijah said that's insane. He was hitting home runs from his rear end.
I'll try to find that video and tweet it out from our account. It's pretty incredible to watch, and I don't mean 1 or 2. Like, he hits like 5 or 6. It's crazy.
Tony said he wishes John Wilkerson would call Tennessee football. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. That would be fun to hear. Well, we really do appreciate everybody joining us tonight. This has been a lot of fun. Man, we love doing this. We love doing it. We will definitely be on here Sunday night, and so we hope everybody joins us. Big Orange said, I hope we sweep because I don't want to call off work Monday, but I will if I have to.
Elijah already
just
found
watched
it.
the video. He said also Vols would sweep. Big Orange, would game 3 be a night game? It is. I believe it's a 6:30 Eastern time, or maybe 7. Maybe that's what it was. 6 o'clock Central time, 7 o'clock Eastern time, I think is what it was on Monday night. Hopefully it won't be necessary though. Elijah said he found it on YouTube.
Yep.
Well, we really do appreciate all y'all so much. We got 383 people watching with us right now. 331 on Twitter or X, whatever. 50 on YouTube and 1 on Facebook. So hey, Tony, you're the man on Facebook. That's what I'm talking about. He said, thanks, guys. Look forward to y'all coming up. We appreciate you, Tony, so much, man. He said, good night, bros. Elijah, thank you, buddy. Hey, Tony Tennessee, thank you so much. She's predicting the Vols in 3 games. That's my prediction as well. She said, love you guys. We love you too. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate that. We hope all of you have an awesome evening. Go Vols. Everybody, hope you have a great Friday ahead of you, and we'll all be ready to rock and roll Saturday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time, ESPN. That's where you'll find the game if you're not in Omaha. We're jealous of all the people in Omaha for sure. Elijah said Monday won't be needed. I hope not, man. That'd be awesome. But we hope all of you have a great evening. Love you guys. It's been so much fun. Go Vols, baby.